away.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates and some more details regarding Star Wars Battlefront 2. I've compiled some information from different sources, but some of the main information is from an interview posted by Eurogamer a couple of days ago, where they spoke to a couple of developers from Star Wars Battlefront 2 over at Star Wars Celebration. There's a lot of reiteration about stuff we've already heard before, but something I thought was interesting was when he was asked if the campaign will be like the separate war stories in Battlefield 1. And he said that you do follow Iden through this journey, whilst from time to time switching sides and playing from the perspective of one of the iconic heroes, because again, that's just part of Battlefront's DNA. Sometimes you're a trooper, sometimes you're a pilot, and sometimes you're Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber. And again, this is pretty cool to hear. This is the first time we actually had confirmation that no, it will not be like the war stories of Battlefield 1. So even if you switch over to Luke, that doesn't mean that you will play a separate story, but you will still see Iden from his eyes. And what I thought was interesting here is that EPN.TV also did an interview where they talked about the single player, and Mark from Motive explained a little bit more about how they are thinking with the actual storytelling in the campaign. As you know, in the movies they tend to always follow the protagonist for most of the time. However, they always switch over to the antagonists a couple of times during each movie, like seeing Darth Vader talking to the Emperor or to Tarkin, or in the new movies we can of course see Kylo Ren and Hux talking to Snoke, and so on. I think you get what I mean. And in this campaign it's gonna be the same way, but the other way around. So Iden will be the main character that you will be following along, but then sometimes it will switch over to people like Luke or Kylo Ren. So they're not gonna be a huge part of the campaign, but they will be there for sometimes. So think about it like the movies, but switch around where you see the Imperials for the most of the time and see the light side just a couple of the times. And while we're talking about Luke, big thank you to Matthew Taylor for pointing this out on Twitter, but you can actually find R2-D2 in the trailer when you do see Luke. He flashes by very quickly, so you gotta pause it at the right time, but this pretty much confirms that both R2-D2 and Luke Skywalker will be in a campaign at the same time. And I think it's gonna feel really weird that you're actually gonna play as Iden and probably sympathize with her, and then all of a sudden it switches over to Luke and R2-D2, and you might actually see them as the bad guys. It's gonna be really interesting to see how your feeling is gonna be towards them when you actually encounter them in the game. And I also want to quickly note that in the trailer, a lot of people thought that it was actually Iden Versio at this clip with Luke. But if you look at the pauldrons, you can see that the different members of the Inferno Squad have different armor, and this is not the same pauldrons as Iden has, so this is most likely another member from Inferno Squad, meaning that maybe Luke will kill him or her. We don't know. It would be quite interesting to see Luke actually take out one of the members of the Inferno Squad, and then Iden might go on a hunt after Luke or something like that. And lastly, another thing about the single player campaign in Star Wars Battlefront 2, voice actor Matthew Mercer confirmed that he is working on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you might actually recognize him from Overwatch. He is the voice actor for McCree, one of the most iconic heroes I would say in Overwatch, and it's gonna be really interesting to see if we can recognize his voice in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Most likely not, because I don't think he's gonna sound like McCree, but still cool to hear nevertheless, and I would assume he's possibly part of the Inferno Squad. But now back to the interview with Eurogamer. They also reiterated that there will be something like vehicle classes, but they didn't say specifically how they will work, but that they will work similarly to the ones the infantry has. And I would guess that we might get something like a fighter, interceptor, and then bomber. Transport, possibly, but that all depends on if you can actually drop people off, which I don't think you will be able to do. And in that case, there's not really any point in having any transport ship unless it's part of the objective. But I do think it's nice to see that they're actually creating classes, because the ships in the current game are very similar, and there's not really any point in choosing one ship over the other. But if we do have bombers, that would really be something helpful if you want to take out objectives. Lastly, I just wanted to note that EA Play tickets are now on sale, or well, they're not on sale because they're actually free, but you can now sign up to get EA Play tickets. I will leave a link to that in the description below. But from June 10th to 12th, you will be able to get your hands on Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the next Need for Speed game, but obviously you would only go there for Battlefront 2, right? But that is probably going to be before anyone else can get their hands on the game. If there's an alpha, that's probably going to be after EA Play. So if you guys live close to Hollywood, or maybe just want wanna go there on a vacation, make sure to get your tickets for EA Play, as I think playing Battlefront 2 is something a lot of you want to do right now. But that is all the details I have for now. Again, if you guys spot anything interesting you think I could make a video about, feel free to tweet me it or send me an email. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.